Have you ever been in an argument, maybe with your partner or your boss, where you had all the facts, you knew you were logically 100% right, but somehow you still ended up totally losing?
Oh, that is the worst feeling.
Right. You bring all the receipts to the fight, you completely prove your point, and yet you walk away feeling like the relationship just took this massive hit, the whole vibe is ruined, and your perfect logic didn't actually fix a single thing.
Yeah. You won the math, but you lost the room.
Exactly. Welcome to today's deep dive. We are exploring the ultimate underlying structure of human conflict. We are decoding this absolutely brilliant framework today called the Mind Key to the I Ching.
Which is just, it's such a fascinating lens to look through.
It really is. And for those who might not know, the I Ching is this ancient philosophical system built on these six-line symbols called hexagrams. We are zooming in on the song Hexagram, which literally represents conflict. But, and this is the cool part, we aren't just looking at ancient history here.
Right, where you're running this ancient symbol through the very modern lenses of game theory, psychology, and just everyday survival.
Exactly. Because what's wild is that conflict isn't just a glitch.
No, it's a feature.
Yeah.
It is the inevitable byproduct of human interaction. The second we stop existing in total isolation, the second we actually engage with each other, we clash.
We totally clash.
And this framework doesn't just give you a preachy, hey, play nice message. It actually maps out the structural root of why those clashes happen. And more importantly, gives you a blueprint for getting through them without destroying your career or your own sanity.
Okay, let's unpack this,
Yeah.
because the foundation of this entire philosophy comes down to a core mismatch between two opposing forces.
The ultimate mismatch.
Right. In the ancient symbolism of this hexagram, you have heaven on top and you have water on the bottom. So heaven represents rigid logic. It's the rules, the principles, the company KPIs, the literal law.
It's the I.
Yes. Psychologically, heaven is the superego. It's that demanding voice in your head, and its energy always pushes upward. It's constantly striving for this absolute, unbending correctness.
But then sitting right beneath that, pulling in the exact opposite direction, is water.
And water is messy.
It's so messy. Water represents our flexible, deeply human needs. It is our emotions, our desire for safety, our need for just basic comfort. It's the id.
I want.
Exactly, the voice that simply says, I want. And like actual water, this energy flows downward. It constantly seeks the path of least resistance.
Yeah.
So when you smash them together,
The logic of heaven and the emotion of water.
right, when absolute correctness crashes into unpredictable emotional needs, their energies literally tear away from each other. That tearing sensation is the root of all human conflict.
You see this play out at every single level of everyday life. Like, let's look at a micro-level argument at home.
Oh, the classic kitchen fight.
Yes. A husband is channeling heaven, right? He is standing there with a literal mental spreadsheet of why his wife's feelings about how the dishwasher was loaded are statistically and factually incorrect.
Oh, no. That never ends well.
Never, because she is in the water state. She is just staring at him, plotting his demise, because all she wants in that moment is for her feelings to be validated. She just wants to feel emotionally secure.
They aren't even having the same conversation.
Not at all. Or think about the middle level, the conflict inside your own head. Your brain, which is heaven, is lecturing you that you absolutely must go to the gym. Logically, it is the right thing for your health.
But your body is water.
Right. Your body is exhausted from a 10-hour workday and just completely refuses to peel itself off the couch.
And we see it constantly at the macro level, too.
Yeah.
Think about a faceless corporation enforcing these cold, unyielding return-to-office mandates.
Just pure heaven energy.
Exactly. Pure, rigid rules. And those rules end up completely crushing an individual employee's daily routine, their childcare schedule, their dignity. That's water getting crushed.
So the ultimate wisdom here is to align those expectations early on so the fight never even happens.
Which is the ideal scenario.
Right, but human nature basically guarantees we're going to end up in the mess eventually. So we're going to lay out the psychological playbook for surviving when you are already deep in the trenches.
And to survive, you really have to understand the pre-game contract, the rules of conflict.
Before you even open your mouth to argue.
Yes, you have to understand this concept called the winner's curse.
Oh, I love this part.
It's huge. People who obsess over being objectively right usually lose the hardest in the long run. The people who actually survive are the ones who accommodate human nature.
Which brings us to rule number 1. Beware the arrogance of truth.
We are so conditioned to think that absolute honesty and conviction are just unquestionable virtues.
Like, I'm just telling it like it is.
Exactly. But history and psychology both show that absolute conviction causes wars. Hell isn't created by villains. Hell is created by two people who both genuinely believe they're representing pure justice.
Nobody wakes up thinking they're the bad guy.
Right. You think you're standing up for facts, but the person across the table feels aggressively victimized by your rigidity.
If you try to use cold logic to completely steamroll someone's feelings, it doesn't fix the issue. It just rips a deeper hole in the relationship.
Which leads perfectly into rule number 2. Winning half is the real win.
This is a tough pill to swallow for a lot of people.
Oh, it really is. Because in any conflict, you have to know when to hit the brakes. The magic threshold here is 70%.
Just 70.
Just 70. If you can get your core, bottom line needs met, you stop right there. You intentionally leave the other 30% on the table.
You leave them their dignity.
Exactly. You let them save face so they don't feel completely annihilated.
Yeah.
Because that coworker you are fighting with today, they might be the exact person you need to approve your project tomorrow.
But our ego hates that. When we're mad, we want total victory. We want them to publicly admit they were wrong and we were right.
We do, but rule number 3 warns us that chasing total victory is a trap.
A dangerous one.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, think about what happens when you push an opponent into a corner and leave them absolutely no way out, no escape route.
You turn a negotiation into a cage match.
Exactly. You take a simple dispute over a budget or a property line, and you upgrade it to a desperate war for survival. When humans feel their survival is threatened, they fight back with reckless abandon.
And even if you win, everyone else is watching.
Right. The broader ecosystem, your office, your friends, they see what you did. They view you as a destructive force, and eventually they will turn on you to remove you from the board.
Okay, so with those baseline rules established, let's get into the actual strategies. We're dividing this into 2 halves, starting with the underdog's playbook.
For when you are water.
Yes. You are the weaker party, facing a massive, unyielding force of heaven, an unreasonable boss, a toxic partner, a bureaucratic nightmare.
Stage 1 of this playbook is what we call garbage truck friction.
I think about this metaphor all the time.
It's so good. Some people are just driving around full of emotional garbage, anger, frustration, disappointment, and when their truck gets full, they desperately need a place to dump it.
So if someone cuts you off in traffic and flips you off, or a coworker makes a passive-aggressive comment about your shirt?
That is garbage truck friction. They are looking for a dumpster. And the advice is incredibly simple. Do not volunteer to be the dumpster.
Don't turn a tiny bug into a feature of your day.
Exactly.
Because we've all been there, right? Someone insults you, and you spend the next 3 days taking a shower, violently scrubbing your hair, while drafting this devastatingly articulate response in your head that you will never send.
It's exhausting.
If you do that, you lost. You drained your mental battery for half the week. In stage 1, you have to stop acting like a judge obsessed with right and wrong and act like a merchant weighing the return on investment.
Let it go instantly. Your peace of mind is too valuable to spend sorting someone else's trash.
But obviously, not all conflicts are just passing trash trucks.
No. Sometimes you are in stage 2, absolute disadvantage.
Like facing massive corporate layoffs. Or being an independent contractor sued by a massive company with a skyscraper full of lawyers.
In those cases, the framework advises full strategic retreat.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Because the historical metaphor here is of a small village with 300 households trying to fight off a massive invading army.
If the mayor decides to fight an unwinnable war just out of pure ego, he drags all 300 households down with him.
And in modern terms, those households are your health, your savings, your family's peace of mind.
Right. You have to avoid the Don Quixote trap. We romanticize the underdog charging at windmills against all odds.
We love a martyr in our culture.
We do. But when the power imbalance is objectively extreme, retreating is not cowardice. It is the highest form of protection for the things you actually care about.
Surviving to fight another day.
Precisely.
But let's be real. What if you literally can't retreat? What if you're in stage 3? The unchangeable environment.
You're trapped.
Right. You're in a highly toxic job because you desperately need the health insurance. Or a hostile living situation, but you can't afford a new security deposit yet.
The survival strategy here is widely known in psychology as the gray rock method.
Become a rock.
Literally.
Ah.
You consciously make yourself as uninteresting, unreactive, and boring as a gray rock. You become an invisible spare part in the machine.
So you just follow the rules perfectly.
Exactly. You do what's asked, but you provide absolutely zero emotional fuel. When a toxic manager screams at you over a typo, you don't argue. You just look at them blankly and say, "Understood. I will fix the typo."
You give them nothing to grip onto.
Right. They project their dysfunction onto a smooth surface that offers no leverage.
It's like being an emotional stealth operative. But, and this is a massive warning label, do not confuse the gray rock method with being passive-aggressive.
Oh, that is a crucial distinction.
You can't say, "Understood, I'll fix it," while loudly sighing, rolling your eyes, and slamming your laptop shut.
That just paints a neon target on your back.
True survival here means flawless, ego-free obedience. You put your pride in a box under the bed until you have the resources to finally walk away.
Because your ego is a luxury you literally cannot afford right now.
Okay, so we've survived the bottom, now the tables turn.
You wake up and you're holding the cards.
You are heaven. Welcome to Section 3, the power player's dilemma. You have the evidence, the authority, the money to completely crush the other side.
But surprisingly, this is the most dangerous position to be in.
Stage 4 is all about stepping back from the abyss.
Right. Imagine you have the proof to get a rival coworker fired and take their job. Or you're in a bitter divorce and your lawyer hands you the ammo to win everything, but using it will completely traumatize your kids.
Do you win the battle but lose your soul?
This raises an important question. Are you willing to become a monster just to beat one?
Nietzsche talked about this, right?
Yes, staring into the abyss and the abyss stares back. If you use ruthless tactics, you absorb their toxicity. You become the thing you're fighting.
The true victory is having the power to destroy them, but choosing to put the sword away.
You preserve your own humanity.
Which takes an insane amount of self-control. It's like holding a winning lottery ticket and not cashing it because you know it's cursed.
But if you can do that, you elevate to stage 5, the architect or the judge.
God's eye view.
Exactly. You realize the only true good fortune in conflict is stepping completely outside the arena. John Rawls' veil of ignorance is the perfect parallel here.
Okay, explain the veil of ignorance for those who don't know it, because it's brilliant.
When you have the power, your job isn't to fight for a bigger piece of the pie anymore. Your job is to design a fundamentally better system for cutting the pie.
Assuming you might get the worst slice.
Right. You design the rules, assuming tomorrow you'll wake up with total amnesia and you can be placed anywhere in the system.
So, like, if you're an executive writing a layoff policy, you have to design it assuming you might wake up tomorrow as the CEO, or you might wake up as the lowest paid intern getting cut.
How does that change the policy? It makes it profoundly fair. Because you have to protect yourself from the worst-case scenario.
You don't just win the argument, you make the argument obsolete.
But you have to be careful. If you use your power to create selfish, rigged rules, like a boss writing a manipulative contract just because they know the applicant is desperate, it will backfire.
It drains all the trust out of the room.
And breeds deep resentment that eventually leads to chaos.
Which brings us to the final stage. Stage 6, the curse of the winner, the ultimate backlash.
This is what happens when you ignore all the warnings.
Think of the ruthless litigator who ruins their opponent on a legal loophole. They win the case, but the whole town despises them. Nobody will hire them again.
Or the tech giant that illegally crushes all competition, only to get dismantled by antitrust laws a few years later.
The historical text used this crazy, vivid metaphor of a man winning a victory belt, but having it stripped from him 3 times in a single day.
You win, but the public humiliation is immediate and devastating, because you acted like a cancer cell. You consumed the host.
So what does this all mean?
It means society has an immune system. If you achieve victory by destroying the social fabric, society will eventually identify you as a pathogen.
It expels you.
Violently.
Yeah.
That is why the ultimate advice for the powerful is to always leave your defeated opponent a way out. Never back them into a corner where their only option is to destroy you in return.
It is just this grand, fascinating paradox. For the weak, fighting the system exhausts your life force. You drain yourself dry.
And for the strong, fighting for total victory destroys the very environment you rely on. You burn down the stadium.
So the overarching takeaway here, the ultimate solution,
Requires 2 things. Internal elevation, conquering your own ego so you don't need to fight over every slight. And external rulemaking, using your power to fix the broken systems that force people to fight in the first place.
you become the architect of peace instead of a soldier in a pointless war.
Beautifully said.
But as we wrap up today's deep dive, I want to leave you with one final, slightly chilling thought to mull over.
Oh, here we go.
Everything we just discussed, the 70% rule, the gray rock method, designing fair systems,
Yeah.
it all relies on one massive assumption.
That the other side still plays by the rules.
Exactly. It assumes they care about their survival and reputation. But what happens when words fail entirely? What if you are facing a force that doesn't want to argue, doesn't care about a settlement, and simply wants to destroy you?
That changes everything.
When the courtroom completely collapses, we have to drop the logic and put on the armor. Next time, we step onto the battlefield.